My son was supposed to be at basketball practice. Instead, he found me unconscious on our kitchen floor, my blood sugar at 687. The paramedics later told me 5 more minutes, and I would have been dead. I'd been treating the wrong type of diabetes for 3 years. Nobody told me adults could develop type 1. If you think diabetes is manageable, if you think you understand the difference between type 1 and type 2, or if you have teenagers who might one day need to save your life, please listen. Because what my 16-year-old son did in those critical moments is something every family needs to know. My name is Diana. I'm 45 years old, and I'm a real estate agent in Miami. Before everything went wrong, I had what I thought was a perfectly controlled health situation. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at 42. Classic case, my doctor said. Slightly overweight, stressed job, Cuban genetics. My grandmother had it, my mother had it, now I had it. Circle of life, right? But I was determined to be different. I wasn't going to be the diabetic who ignored their condition. I got a nutritionist, started walking 5 miles every morning before showing houses, cut out white rice, which, for a Cuban woman, is basically sacrificing your soul. My A1C went from 8.5 to 6.2 in 6 months. My doctor was thrilled. "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it," she said. I had 2 kids to live for. Marcus, 16, basketball star, honor roll, the kind of kid who still hugged his mom in public. And Sophia, 13, my little artist, always drawing, always dreaming, always leaving art supplies all over my car. My ex-husband, Roberto, lived in Orlando. We'd divorced 5 years earlier. Nothing dramatic, just grew apart. He took the kids every other weekend, paid child support on time, showed up for games and recitals. We were better as co-parents than spouses. Managing type 2 became routine. Metformin twice a day, checking blood sugar before meals, counting carbs like a mathematician. I had it down to a science. I even became the go-to agent for elderly clients because I understood managing health conditions while maintaining a career. "You make it look so easy," my client Mrs. Patterson said once, watching me discreetly check my blood sugar during a showing. I was proud of that. Proud that I'd taken this diagnosis and made it just another thing I handled, like mortgage applications and HOA disputes. The changes started so gradually, I didn't notice. Or maybe I noticed but explained them away. That's the thing about slow decline. Your brain adjusts your normal. First, I needed more water. Miami's hot. Everyone needs water. Then I was getting up 3 times a night to pee. "I'm 45, I told myself. That's just aging. The weight loss seemed like a victory at first. 10 pounds in 2 months without trying. My metformin must be working better. My clothes from 5 years ago fit again. Marcus even said, "Mum, you look like your old photos." I should have known something was wrong when I could eat an entire Cuban sandwich and my blood sugar would still spike to 300. I just figured I needed to adjust my medication. Maybe add another drug. That's what type 2 diabetics do, right? Add medications as it progresses. By January 2024, I was exhausted all the time. Not normal tired, this bone-deep exhaustion where I'd sit in my car between showings and struggle to stay awake. I'd drink 2 Cuban coffees just to make it through a closing. My vision started getting blurry. I'd be driving to showings and have to pull over because I couldn't read street signs. Eye doctor said my prescription had changed dramatically in 3 months. "Diabetes can affect vision," he said. Make sure your blood sugar is controlled. But it wasn't controlled. Not anymore. I was taking my metformin religiously, eating less than ever, and my fasting blood sugar was 250, 280, sometimes over 300. "Mum, you look sick," Sophia said one morning. She was sketching me while I made breakfast, and she showed me the drawing. Hollow cheeks, dark circles, thin face. "This is what you look like now." I made an appointment with my endocrinologist for the following week. But bodies don't wait for convenient appointment times. The Friday before my appointment, February the 2nd, I felt off all day. Nauseous, dizzy, like I had the flu. I showed 3 houses anyway. I had clients flying in from New York, couldn't reschedule. By evening, I was vomiting. Marcus wanted to take me to the hospital, but I insisted it was just something I ate. "I have diabetes, not the plague," I told him. "Go to practice. I'll be fine." He left at 6 p.m., reluctant. Sophia was at her dad's for the weekend. I was alone, which seemed fine. I'd just sleep it off. I remember making it to the kitchen for water around 7 p.m. My mouth was so dry it hurt to swallow. The last thing I remember is thinking the tile floor looked really inviting. Maybe I'd just lie down for a minute. Marcus forgot his team jersey. That's what saved my life. He came back around 7:30 to grab it from his room. I walked in, and it was quiet. He told me later. "Too quiet. You always have HGTV on." And then I saw your foot sticking out from behind the counter. I was unconscious, breathing but unresponsive. My skin was cold and clammy. Marcus called 911, and in the 3 minutes it took them to arrive, he remembered something from health class about diabetic emergencies. He found my glucose meter and checked my blood sugar. The meter just said, "high." It couldn't even read the number. When the paramedics arrived, they used their hospital-grade meter, 687 mg DL. Normal is under 100. At 600, organs start shutting down. At 700, you're often in a coma you don't wake up from. I woke up in the ICU 2 days later. Tubes everywhere, machines beeping, and Marcus asleep in the chair next to my bed, still wearing his basketball jersey. "Mom." He grabbed my hand when he saw my eyes open. This 6'2" teenager who dunked basketballs started crying like he was 5 again. Dr. Rodriguez, the ICU physician, explained what happened. Diabetic ketoacidosis, DKA. My body had stopped producing insulin almost entirely. Without insulin, cells can't use glucose for energy, so they break down fat instead, producing acids called ketones. Too many ketones and your blood becomes acidic. Your organs fail. "But I have type 2, I said, confused. "Type 2 diabetics produce insulin." "We need to run more tests," she said carefully. "But your presentation suggests something else." The tests revealed the truth. I had antibodies attacking my pancreatic cells, GED antibodies, IA2 antibodies, classic markers for type 1 diabetes. But I was 45. Type 1 was supposed to be juvenile diabetes, diagnosed in children. "You have LADA," Dr. Rodriguez explained. "Latent Autoimmune Diabetes in adults. It's essentially type 1 diabetes that develops later in life. Your immune system has been slowly destroying your insulin-producing cells. You probably had some insulin production when first diagnosed, which is why you appeared to have type 2. But now, your pancreas has essentially shut down." 3 years. For 3 years, I'd been treating the wrong disease, taking pills that help cells use insulin better, when my problem was I had no insulin to use. This is actually quite common, she said. Studies suggest up to 10% of adults diagnosed with type 2 actually have LADA, but most doctors don't test for antibodies in adult diagnoses. I needed insulin immediately. Not pills, not diet changes, actual insulin injections, multiple times a day, for the rest of my life. The nurse taught me to use an insulin pen while I was still foggy from the DKA. Marcus never left my side during those 3 days in the hospital. He'd already watched YouTube videos about type 1 management, downloaded carb counting apps, researched continuous glucose monitors. I should have come home earlier, he kept saying. You came home at exactly the right time, I told him. 5 more minutes, they said. You gave me 5 more minutes. Going home was terrifying. With type 2, I took pills and watched my diet. With type 1, I had to become my own pancreas. Calculate every carb, dose insulin precisely, monitor constantly. Too much insulin, I could go into hypoglycemic shock. Too little, DKA again. Marcus appointed himself my guardian. He set alarms on both our phones for blood sugar checks. He learned to recognize when I was going low, the confusion, the sweating, the shakiness. Mum's going low, he'd tell Sophia, and she'd run for the orange juice while he grabbed my meter. 2 weeks after diagnosis, I had my first severe hypoglycemic episode. I'd dosed insulin for lunch, but got called to an emergency showing and didn't eat. By the time I realized something was wrong, I was at 43 mg/dL and couldn't think clearly enough to help myself. I managed to text Marcus at school. Low, can't drive. He got his friend to drive him to the showing address I'd sent that morning. Found me in my car in the driveway, conscious but confused, arguing that I was fine while unable to remember my own name. Mum, drink this, he said, patient but firm, holding a juice box to my lips like I was a toddler. The real estate agency suggested I take disability leave. Just until you get stable, my broker said. But I couldn't afford to stop working. Insulin costs $300 per vial, even with insurance, and I needed 3 vials a month, plus test strips, needles, medical appointments. So I kept working, and my teenagers became my safety net. Sophia started packing emergency supplies in my purse: glucose tablets, juice boxes, glucagon emergency kit. She decorated them with little drawings. Mum's superhero supplies. Marcus programmed my Dexcom continuous glucose monitor to alert his phone too. He'd text me from school. Mum, you're trending low. Eat something. During basketball games, I'd see him checking his phone on the bench, looking for my glucose alerts instead of game stats. Roberto was surprisingly helpful. He took the kids more often so I could rest, helped with medical expenses, even learned to recognize my symptoms. You look pale, Dee, he'd say. Check your sugar. But the hardest part wasn't the physical management. It was the fear. Every night, I worried about not waking up. Type 1 diabetics can die in their sleep from low blood sugar. I'd set alarms every 3 hours to check levels. Marcus started sleeping on my bedroom floor some nights. Just in case, he'd say. My 16-year-old son, sleeping on the floor like a guard dog, protecting me from my own body. It's been almost a year now since my diagnosis. I'm still learning, still adjusting, still making mistakes. But I'm alive, and that's because of a teenager who forgot his jersey. I wear an insulin pump now. Sophia calls it my robot pancreas. It's not perfect, but it's better than multiple daily injections. I can eat a Cuban sandwich again. Just have to tell my pump about it first. Marcus is applying to colleges, pre-med programs. I want to be an endocrinologist, he wrote in his essay. My mum almost died because doctors didn't know adults could get type 1 diabetes. I want to change that. His basketball coach told me Marcus keeps glucose tablets in his gym bag. Not for him, for any diabetic who might need them. He's become an advocate at 17, educating his teammates about the signs of diabetic emergencies. Sophia painted a mural in her room, a broken pancreas with flowers growing from the cracks. "You're prettier broken, Mum," she said. "You're more real now." The truth is, LADA almost killed me. But it also showed me who my children really are. Not just teenagers absorbed in their own lives, but capable, caring humans who became heroes when I needed them most. My endocrinologist now screens all adult type 2 diagnoses for antibodies. She said I changed how she practices medicine. "Your story could save lives," she told me. I still work real estate, but now I specialize in helping clients with chronic conditions find homes near good hospitals, with first-floor bedrooms, with layouts that work for medical equipment. I understand the hidden needs. Roberto and I have become friends again. Not romantic, just two people who share these amazing kids and this bizarre journey. He knows how to dose my insulin for Cuban food now. That's true friendship. Last month, Marcus played his final high school basketball game. From the stands, I watched him score 30 points with my glucose monitor, reading a perfect 120. Stable, in range, alive. After the game, a reporter asked him about his plans. "I'm going to help people like my mum," he said. "People who are fighting battles nobody sees." Type 1 diabetes at 45 isn't what I planned. But having a son who can save your life, a daughter who makes medical equipment into art, an ex-husband who became a friend, maybe breaking apart was how I learned I was never alone. Thank you for listening. This isn't just a diabetes story. It's about what happens when your body becomes your enemy and your children become your heroes. If you have type 2 diabetes, please ask your doctor about antibody testing. LADA is underdiagnosed and misunderstood. The wrong treatment isn't just ineffective, it's potentially fatal. If you're a parent with a chronic illness, talk to your teenagers. They're more capable than you think. Teaching them about your condition isn't burdening them, it's empowering them. Marcus saved my life because he knew what to look for. If you're a teenager with a parent who has health issues, learn the signs of their emergencies. Your quick action could be the difference between a close call and a tragedy. You're not too young to be a hero. Please share this story. Comment if you've experienced LADA or if you've had a child save your life in ways you never expected. Let's start a conversation about adult-onset type 1 diabetes and the families who become unexpected first responders. Subscribe for more stories about medical mysteries, family resilience, and the teenagers who step up when life falls apart. Remember, sometimes the pancreas you're born with fails you, but the family you raise never will. Check your blood sugar. Hug your kids. And never ignore the symptoms your body is screaming. Thank you for listening. from me and from Marcus, who made sure I'm still here to tell this story.